to do that, and she did great. She really did. And it was a little bit scary. It was for me. Maybe it wasn't for her, but he doesn't show off. He doesn't make things fancy. Hackman remembers and then gives credit. And once he says someone's name, you feel how important it is. It's not just praise. It's real recognition. I mean, you like him or you don't. That's who he was. You couldn't really change him or make him look better than he was. For 50 years, Hackman became known as one of the most real actors in movies, playing men who had power, doubt, humor, and anger. But behind all that tough acting, there's another truth. Hackman was always watching other actors and always learning from them. He knew the actors who set the bar high. The actors who didn't just act, but changed what acting could be. The one actor who was perfect, the one voice he believed in, the one performance that had more than just words. It had real truth. Hackman doesn't celebrate loud actors. He honors actors who really connect with people. Bonnie and Clyde, The French Connection, Unforgiven, The Royal Tenenbaums. Every performance got better over the years. But at the heart of Hackman's own acting is a lifetime of looking up to those who came before him, those who worked with him, and those who made him a better actor. And when Hackman points to them, it's not just casual. It's not just being polite. It's like a map to his own DNA as an actor. Pacino and I were up in San Francisco, and we thought maybe we'd try to get into the characters, the homeless guys. He's worked with legends. He studied famous actors, but only a few became permanent favorites in his memory. The ones who gave everything and changed him. Here are the 6 actors Gene Hackman respects most above fame, above the moment, and why no one else has ever replaced them. Number 1, James Cagney. Some actors chased the spotlight. Hackman chased good acting skills. And the first name written in that journey wasn't a peer. It was a force of nature in black and white movies. James Cagney. Hackman once remembered his first reaction watching Cagney on screen. There was a kind of energy about him, and he was totally different from anyone I'd ever seen in my life. Cagney wasn't just a tough guy. He was like a tornado with a purpose. Hackman saw how Cagney could go from explosive to gentle in one breath. In White Heat, he was on fire. In Yankee Doodle Dandy, he danced like he owned the whole floor. That range, wild but exact, showed Hackman the blueprint. Don't demand attention, earn respect. Cagney's acting wasn't method acting, it was pure energy, and Hackman, watching in small-town movie theaters, understood that being powerful on screen didn't require being big, it required having electricity. Years later, when Hackman was known for being still and quiet, you could trace that energy back to Cagney. I love the idea that somebody could convince me that they were a sea captain without being fake. Hackman didn't just admire the technique, he admired the honesty. Cagney was a studio rebel, walking away when he was at his best, refusing to be put in a box. That fighting spirit echoed in Hackman's own path, never chasing stardom, only roles that felt real. You're committed to doing what you know best. You have to be so focused on yourself that nobody can stand you. Even decades later, when asked about the actors who shaped him most, Hackman didn't hesitate. Cagney came first. There's a line that I always wanted to say, "Top of the world, Ma, top of the world." But he didn't want the line for the spotlight. He wanted it for its electricity. Cagney's spirit wasn't about being polished. It was about having punch. That became Hackman's guide. If it's not real, don't do it. Cagney never wasted a moment. Neither did Hackman. For Hackman, Cagney was the spark, the first inspiration, the standard, and still is. Number 2, Errol Flynn. Before Gene Hackman ever stepped onto a stage, he was a kid in Illinois, staring up at bigger-than-life men who seemed to jump from the screen. One of them didn't just jump, he sword-fought with style. Errol Flynn, Hackman once said, Flynn made it all look easy. He had such style. You believed him even when he was grinning through danger. Flynn wasn't just playing roles. He was creating a type of character. From Captain Blood to the Adventures of Robin Hood, he didn't act like a hero. He moved like one. Hackman watched those films not for fantasy, but for rhythm, for how a man could control the screen without trying hard. There was something magnetic in the looseness, the danger, the joy. Flynn could command a room without force. That left a mark on Hackman. I'll organize revolt. Exact death for a death. Hackman didn't grow up around actors. He grew up where being tough was quiet. So when he saw someone like Flynn, graceful and fearless, it wasn't just escapism. It was a blueprint. I never thought of him as fake. He was having fun, but he was still telling the truth. Flynn was never method acting, never heavy. He flowed. Hackman didn't copy him, but he studied that flow. He learned that charisma doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be there. Later, when Hackman played strongmen, Popeye Doyle, Little Bill, Royal Tenenbaum, there was always energy beneath the stillness, a kind of spark that could turn dangerous at any second. That spirit traces back to Flynn. I think Flynn was the first actor who made me want to try. He made it look like something I could reach for. For Hackman, Flynn wasn't about being polished. He was about having presence, confidence, without being cocky, the kind of actor who didn't need to convince you because you were already sold, and that belief stayed with him. Number 3, Edward G. Robinson. Gene Hackman never admired actors for how loud they were. He admired them for how deep they went. And no actor went deeper, with less showing off, than Edward G. Robinson. Hackman didn't fall in love with Robinson's fame. He fell in love with his intelligence, the quiet authority, the simmering logic, the way Robinson could play power without needing to move an inch. He didn't rely on size. He relied on thinking. You could see it happening on his face. From Little Caesar to Double Indemnity, Robinson played men under pressure, calculating, burning, always one step ahead. Hackman was drawn to that. He understood it. Not just the words, but the silences between them. As a young actor, Hackman studied Robinson the way some people study chess, frame by frame. He didn't just watch the lines. He watched the stillness, the resistance. That's where the truth lived. Well, I never have. No, I guess I won't. You do. You know what you want? Robinson gave Hackman something else. Permission to be ordinary, to not chase glamour. Robinson was never about being likable. He was about being right for the moment. He was one of the first guys who made me think it was okay to just be who you are. In a world of screen gods, Robinson made space for character actors to be the lead. He proved that substance could hold up a story just as much as charm. That lesson stayed with Hackman. Whether he was playing heroes, villains, or both, he didn't force people to like him. He focused on truth. Robinson wasn't flashy. He didn't need to be. His strength came from control. Hackman built his own foundation on that. There was steel in him. You didn't always see it at first, but it was there. For Hackman, Robinson was more than a performer. He was proof that presence isn't something you add, it's something you earn. Number 4, Dustin Hoffman. Some actors come into your life through the screen. Others come into your life across the hall with rent that's overdue and dreams just as shaky. That was Dustin Hoffman for Gene Hackman. They weren't co-stars. They were roommates, struggling actors in New York years before the awards and the fame. But even then, Hackman knew Hoffman had something rare. He was already working in a way that was deeper than most people understood. Back then, Hoffman was intense, obsessed, constantly breaking down scripts and characters, even if the jobs didn't come. He wasn't chasing stardom. He was chasing good acting skills. And Hackman, coming from a tougher, more grounded style, respected that focus. Story about Dusty. I know what you're going to tell. You're going to tell about the money you lent me. I know you tell this story. Funny story. I think when The Graduate hit, the world saw Hoffman's range, but Hackman wasn't surprised. He'd already seen it in cramped apartments and auditions where they'd walk out empty-handed, but keep going anyway. He didn't care about being handsome or charming. He just wanted it to be real. Their careers took different paths. Hoffman became known for transformation, Hackman for control, but there was always mutual respect. Even when they weren't working together, they knew what the other had survived. They knew what it took to last. And despite their different approaches, there was one thing they shared, a belief in the work. Hoffman didn't want shortcuts. He wanted truth, even if it meant making people uncomfortable. Hackman admired that because it reminded him that staying power isn't about popularity. It's about honesty. He never gave a safe performance. Never once, and I don't think he ever will. For Hackman, Dustin Hoffman isn't just a favorite actor. He's part of the origin story. A fellow fighter. Someone who earned everything the hard way and kept nothing fake. Number 5, Robert Duvall. If Gene Hackman had a brother in acting, it might have been Robert Duvall. They came up at the same time, same city, same circles, both quiet men who let the work speak. But what Hackman saw in Duvall, especially early on, was a purity most actors never reach. He was the kind of actor who never pushed, never showed off. He just lived in the scene. There was no ego, no showing off. Whether Duvall was delivering 2 lines or holding an entire